Sabbath, guys. It's your girl Faith, and I'm back with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. I am so sorry I did not share a video under my praise and worship series yesterday. I was so tired. But I thought to share a video today under the same series, introducing a new segment within the series that I am calling Walking with God. Within this new segment, I will be sharing talks or videos related to this in the form of episodes, with this video being episode 1. The reason why I thought to do a segment on walking with God is because it is reflective of my current walk with God, or my journey with God, or just where I'm at in my relationship with God. So as most of you already know by now, I am a Christian, born and bred, and it's one of the things that I am most grateful to my parents for having introduced me to God, for having introduced me to Jesus. It's the greatest gift they could have given me. And so, yeah, I am a born and bred Christian. I got baptized in the Seventh-day Adventist Church in 2013. I was in 10th grade at the time. But yeah, I've been Christian all my life. I just made that commitment in 2013 to have Jesus as my personal Savior and Lord. But I recently came to terms with something that was very hard to admit to myself. That being that I really didn't value as much as I think I should the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross. I understand that I will never fully comprehend what that sacrifice was, or what it meant for humanity as a whole. But I also recognize that there is more value that I should place on that, which would then determine how I live my day-to-day life and the choices that I make. And I recognize that I just didn't value it as much as I think I should, or as much as I should. For me, if you could think about it this way, you know, when a person dies, a person passes away that you never had any relationship with, a person that might as well be a stranger to you, dies, you would be able to sympathize with the fact that, you know, a person has died, they have loved ones who are mourning their loss. But because you do not have any personal attachment, you did not have a relationship with that individual, it's very difficult to feel as much of an impact or a loss. It's very difficult to even grieve that individual because you don't really know them. You don't have any personal relationship, as opposed to an individual who passes away, who you had a personal attachment to, who you knew, who you had a relationship with. That hits very differently. You know, that is the closest thing I could liken to how I view Jesus' sacrifice. Unfortunately, but I'm being very honest in saying that. It's like a stranger who chooses to die for me. Yes, it's amazing. Like, it's something that I'd be shocked by, something that I'd touched by, but not something that would impact me as greatly as if someone I had a relationship with chose to die for me, to save me. And I know this may vary from person to person, but this is just my experience. This is my reality. And so recognizing that and knowing well and good, don't get me wrong, I believe salvation is by Jesus Christ, through Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ alone. By the grace of God and faith in him is how we experience and we have salvation. So I recognize that, but I don't have a personal appreciation for Jesus as much as I should. I wouldn't be able to say that I genuinely love Jesus. I genuinely love God as much as I should. I don't have that. There's parts of me that, say if I am torn in making a decision, I know enough to say like, I shouldn't do this. This goes against the law of God. And that this hurts God, but it doesn't hurt me enough to not make certain decisions. Like I will refrain from making certain decisions because there's the additional impact on my future or on my present even. I thank God for the wisdom that is enough for me to not make certain outrageous decisions. But there are those like quote unquote small sins, even though there's really no such thing, or those pettier things that I will do, because in as much as I'm aware to say like this goes against the law of God and it hurts God, it doesn't hurt me enough to not do it because it hurts someone I have a relationship with, if that makes sense. And for me, I really was avoiding accepting that this is the truth. This is my reality. I didn't want to accept it because it sounds awful. It's like horrible. Like how could you not appreciate a sacrifice so great? How could you not fully embrace a person who is flawless? How could you not fully embrace a person who loves you beyond your comprehension? Like how could you not? How could I not? What is wrong with me? It's awful to come to terms with. It's awful to admit, but I had to be honest with myself in saying, this is how I feel. And I also had to additionally be honest with God to say, I really don't want to feel like this towards you. I want to have a greater respect, a respect that you are most deserving of, for this sacrifice, the daily sacrifice that you give, in just even letting me live. I want to have a greater respect. I want to have a genuine love for you, such that I refrain from doing things first and foremost because it hurts you. I really want that, and I want to want that, but I just don't. And so, as you guys probably know by now, for those of you who've been watching, especially in the past few months, I did share with you that I started reading the Bible. I started with the book of Proverbs, great book. For my male viewers especially, I would encourage you to read that book. The Bible is a love letter to us from God that expresses who he is and how he feels about us. It is a love letter, the most beautiful love letter there is. I'm a sentimental person, so that makes me happy to look at it that way, because that's one of the things it is. It's a love letter to us. But I feel like the book of Proverbs especially, it has so many references that start with my son. So for my male audience especially, I highly recommend you to read the book of Proverbs, because I think the fact that it directly refers to you as my son, I think that's so beautiful. It just brings that, that connection, that interaction. So it feels very personal. So I highly encourage you to read it. my fellow females as well, of course, read it. I just directly talk to men because yeah, it because of the references, but it does as well describe women, a godly woman versus an adulterous woman or rebellious woman. There is a lot of wisdom for us women as well. But yeah, I hope you understand where I was coming from. But yeah, that was my experience with Proverbs. I really enjoyed it. So much wisdom packed in that book. Finished reading the book of Proverbs, and my way of going about it is I would read a chapter a day. At the time, I was still trying to figure out my schedule. I was still trying to figure out a way to do things, a way to have time with God. And so I would usually read the Bible on my commute to work, and at times when I'm coming back home from work. But yeah, now I have a better schedule. I sat down with Lano and we worked through, creating our own schedules, because we both aimed at working on having structure and systems that, will help us benefit and gain the things that we're trying to achieve. So yeah, I have a better system, a better structure for my day-to-day life. And so my mornings, I have allocated time for devotions, which is when I would read the Bible. The evenings, I have my praise and worship, my personal praise and worship. Sometimes, like, if things are, running a little late in the morning, I do both in the evening. But all to say, I now have my time allocated. And what I also did was buy a book where I do my Bible studies in. So it's nothing fancy. It's this kind of, it's a big book, which is why I liked it. And my way of going about it is, I have my Thanksgiving first is what I do. I like to do my praise and worship first. And then I do my Thanksgiving. I really think that practicing Thanksgiving helps you just become a humble person. And it helps you be appreciative of what you have. And so I really desire that for myself. And so, yeah, by Thanksgiving, and then I do my Into the Study, where I take notes of what I'm reading, questions that I have. And one thing that I'm noticing, I've been doing this with the book of with Exodus. So from Proverbs, I read Genesis, and then I decided to purchase this book, towards the end. I think I was about to start the book of Exodus, or I had just started the book of Exodus when I purchased it. And I do wish I did this. I thought to do this when I was reading Proverbs, because it's really helpful. It helps me put my thoughts together, my questions. And one thing that I've noticed with reading the Bible and putting my questions together, God answers my questions within the following verses, and it helps me just have that dialogue with him. So it makes this more, I appreciate it more, the fact that I could take note of things and then write down the answers as I find them. Then I end with my prayer requests and supplications. And yeah, this is how I've been doing things since. But anyway, all to say, my reasoning even with getting into this is, as I had mentioned before, coming to terms with the fact that I just don't value God as much as I should, and I especially don't want to just look at salvation from a place of, well, I want to be saved. I want to make sure that, I'm not burning. I'm not going to go to hell with, and face a punishment that was never even created for me in the first place. And I certainly don't want to end up in hell with someone who's made life difficult, for humanity for years and years and years. But yeah, there's that. But I don't want that to be the sole reason why I look at salvation. I want it to be because I've fallen in love with God, and I can't wait to spend eternity with him, and I can't imagine life without him beyond the life we currently experience now. So I've really been intentional about reading the Bible and even writing down these things, doing this, because I want more in my relationship with God. I want more, and I want to learn who God is. Number one, I want to learn who this individual is who's done this for me, who chose to die for me, for God the Father sent his son to die for me. I want to know who he is. I want to know who the Son is. I want to understand the Holy Ghost. I want to understand how God works, how he is, like his character. I want to know him, and I want to walk with him. I really admire, reading briefly about Enoch, because there's not much in Genesis that describes Enoch in detail, like for his entire life experience, but there's enough to paint a beautiful story. Say this person really had a close relationship with God, and I want to experience that, which is what inspired the title, Walking with God. The Bible says Enoch walked with God. I want to experience that relationship with him. And so with this segment, my intention is to share the things that I'm coming to learn about God with you, especially if you are on a similar journey. I aspire to have dialogue with people who are on this journey as well, so that we can help each other understand the God that we worship, and share what our experiences are, our testimonies with what we're learning on this journey. And so I thought to share my heart, where I am right now in my relationship with God. And I don't know who may relate or resonate with what my current state of heart is, but so all to say, I'm introducing this segment to you guys to be something that we get to share together in my discovery of who God is, to share that growth with you. And so I hope this is something I hope it's something that you guys enjoy, and I hope that it also encourages you on your journey and your walk with God. So I hope all I had to say today makes sense. Today is actually like just this conversation I've had with you in this moment is, I think, one of the most comfortable conversations I've had here. I would say, because it feels like I'm talking to a friend at this moment. But I do hope that this is what this channel also feels like to you. So I do hope that you have a blessed Sabbath. Today I was reading Exodus 14, the Red Sea. I've had so many questions with this topic, and I believe so many revelations and answers with this subject, and just learning the character of God, that I will share with you in future videos. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sabbath, and I pray that you guys have a blessed start to your week. May God be with you. May God grant you the desires of your heart. May God grant you safety and good health. I'm praying for you guys, even as I pray for myself on my walk, and I wish us all the best. I do have faith that God, in his mercies, has created the opportunity for me to even feel this way. The fact that I can be honest about this is by the grace of God, and it reminds me that God has not given up on me. He hasn't abandoned me. This is just part of my journey with him, and part of me just being vulnerable with him and saying that, this is how I feel, and he's not intimidated by that. So I appreciate that, and I hope that encourages you as well. Okay, I'm done talking now. I hope you guys You guys stay good till the next video. Please take care of yourself. Bye.